All right, welcome to our review on Beast Wars Season 2. Why are you starting with Season 2, you ask, instead of just doing Season 1? Which is exactly the question you're going to ask.
Yep.
Because this is my favorite season.
Yeah, no, I get that. I agree.
And I just didn't have the patience to sit through a lot of the filler episodes of Season 1 right now. Yeah. So for me, I'm like, okay, you know what? We'll just do a review of Season 2, and then Season 3, and then eventually we'll go back and do a review of Season 1 one day. So right now we're focusing on just Season 2.
Fair. For the record, I can do all of them right now if you want.
You could, but we're not. We're just going to focus on Season 2.
I know.
Because it's been a while since I watched Season 1. I could probably do Season 3 off the top of my head.
Oh, yeah.
But let's just focus on Season 2. All right, what do you actually remember from Season 2?
Okay, well, Season 2 introduced the Transmetals. Season 2 introduced, later on, but Ravage.
Mm-hmm.
And more or less, like, the Decepticons and Autobots and kind of stuff was kind of, sort of, well, I guess at the end of it was brought into it. Like, you've seen them at the end of the season. You had Rampage, you had Transmutate. You had the...
Rampage. I thought you said Inferno there for a second.
No, that was Season 1.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sorry, I got across my head. Keep going.
And you had, of course, the death of Dinobot in that season, which honestly, like, still almost brings tears, man, even after all this time. And then there's that one scene, like, where they're doing, like, the flyover shot, and it's just, like, non-transmetal rat trap.
Yeah, I know, like, the animation there, that was, yeah, I laugh at that every time.
Oh, that was great.
Like, nobody caught that, but, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, but, no, yeah, I love this season.
Yes.
Why I love this season is because I felt like there was a massive step up from Season 1.
Oh, yeah.
From Season 1 to
100%.
Season 2. Like, I felt like Season 1 was very much aimed at selling toys to kids.
Yes, it was.
There is still that in Season 2, but I feel like their motivation for the story and the quality of the scripts just went up. They're like, you know what? Fine. We're basically doing a product that is just there to sell toys to kids.
Yep.
However, you know what? Let's just make this fun for us and for, like, the hardcore fans who've grown up with Transformers and been watching this. That, you know, maybe a little bit older than 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt there was better character development, better writing in Season 2. I felt it introduced one of my favorite characters in the show. Not my favorite character, but one of my more favorite characters, Silverbolt. I really enjoy Silverbolt. And it also had my favorite episode in the entire series, which was, I believe, I might be messing up the title of the episode, but I believe it's Code of Honor or Code of a Hero. It's Season 2, Episode 9, the episode where Dinobot dies. He sacrifices himself to save the small village so, you know, humanity can evolve and grow.
I think it's Code of a Hero.
Code of a Hero?
I think.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
My favorite episode, too. Yeah.
So, yeah, and my favorite, just not the season, but the entire series.
Yeah.
And just, you know, Dinobot's sacrifice and how he's willing to go all the way for what he believes in.
Yeah.
And doesn't, you know, back out or chicken out like, you know, a millennial who isn't really invested in the so-called idea they're willing to die for.
Yeah.
You know, like so many millennials where they'll, like, you know, get an idea in their head and then like 5 seconds later when you
get
know
off the couch and
well, not even just that, like even when they start trying to accomplish whatever this goal is they're trying to do, and you know it's a little bit harder than they thought, they just immediately give up and go away. Dinobot doesn't do that because he's not a millennial. No, not you specifically, but you might fall into that category. I just, you know, my love and dislove of millennials.
Yeah,
but I'm saying, you know, Dinobot, I'm going to kill you because Dinobot, you know, just, you know, isn't. So he's willing to do what it takes to get the job done.
Absolutely. I love the line from that episode. Really, Dinobot? A stick against a Transmetal? I think not. And then he, like, hits it with a rock, and then that just, like, takes his chest out, and it's like, how? Like,
determination, sheer will, and determination.
He was basically broken and not functioning, would not have had a lot of strength left, but still somehow managed to break a Transmetal.
Because he wasn't willing to give up, and he was willing to keep going. And he didn't necessarily break the Transmetal, more like...
Oh, he did. There's a hole in his chest.
Was there?
Yeah.
Oh. I remember him just, like, knocking him over with it. and then getting the disc, and then using what little energy he had left in his eye lasers to shatter the disc.
Yeah, which did technically.
And then Megatron left because at that point the disc was destroyed, and then he saw the maximal backup coming, so there's nothing more he could really do.
No.
And he knew Dinobot was pretty much 10 seconds away from dying anyway, so he just pieced out of there.
But considering how much damage they did, like, I'm surprised they didn't succeed with their whole goal for attacking that valley.
Yeah, but the people survived. It was more or less the apes survived.
Yeah, I get that, but like they did so much damage.
Yeah.
How did the apes survive? Like,
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, obviously, the population of those apes would be bigger, anyways. But it's just like saying that one tribe took what they learned to the other tribes and they evolved. Mm-hmm. So basically, not necessarily evolution would have been specifically in that valley, but it would have come out of that valley.
okay,
So
like progress. Almost.
yeah,
Okay.
So the progress was able to leave the valley regardless.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a favorite episode. I really also liked the way they were kind of setting up the future of Beast Wars at the end of this. Granted, what are you gonna say?
And they also introduced the Tripredacon Council.
Yes, sadly, which they didn't use more going forward. I wish they did. And you know what? We also got to see some classic Transformers come back. You know, reinvented, like Ravage.
Oh yes,
Yeah, because the Tripredacon
And
Council sent in
reprogrammed them.
Agent Ravage
as a
in.
Predacon.
And then I really loved the finale too, when they find the Ark and then they tried to destroy like classic Optimus Prime.
Oh, and the giant time tornado. Oh, that was cool.
Although I felt like the season premiere, season 3, which we'll get more into later when we do season 3, kind of copped out on that a bit.
Yeah.
Because doing that would have definitely caused a time warp that would have altered reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't think they would have had time to do what they did in the first 2 episodes to try to fix everything.
Oh, no, don't worry.
And just, I felt like what they really missed out there is they could have done like an alternate reality story.
Yes.
And then, you know, somebody in the alternate reality figuring out this reality isn't supposed to be this way, and this is the point in which the timeline diverged, and traveling back in time and stopping that kind of
that
thing.
would have been cooler.
And then kind of, you know, continuing on from that point on after they fixed the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been like, you know, a 3 or 4 parter at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And then they could have, you know, gone back, traveled back in time. That could also been a way to introduce a new character.
Absolutely.
Who would have been the character that traveled back in time to stop it. And of course, when you stop it, they're stuck in in the original timeline. And
you mean like that character who traveled back in time in the season 3? He could have been the one to have done that.
which one traveled back in time in season 3?
Death Treasure.
He didn't travel back. Oh no, but
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
He
okay,
followed
sorry.
the signal.
Yeah, he followed the signal. Yeah, of course.
They went back
Yes,
in time.
I will say yes. He went back in time, but
I'm just saying, they could have
yeah,
played
I'll
on
give you
that a
okay,
bit.
fine. But I'm saying it would have been different because this would have been somebody from an alternate reality
But
who
could've
went
just
then went back in
Him
time.
from an alternate reality.
Yeah, or it could just been a character altogether, different character altogether. You know?
Sure, I'm just saying they already had the new character.
I know, but
Or
I'm
they
saying it
could've
could
used.
have been a way to do it.
Yeah, it
You
could
know
have
what I
been
mean?
like anybody.
And instead of and they could have whatever. Anyway, we're getting tied up in semantics here.
Yeah.
But yeah, regardless, that could have been a much more exciting way they went. But getting back to season 2, like it had a lot of great things. That it dealt with the Vox a little bit more.
A little bit, but like not a lot.
It was kind of setting up the Vox as kind of like a potential villain. But they
Yeah.
didn't really go that direction in the end, kind of, sort of. It's complicated.
Yeah, it was like the Vox were. I more or less took them as the multi-headed things from original Transformers.
No, that's Quintessence.
Quintessence. No, that type of bad guy.
Oh, okay.
Where it's
yeah,
like just
basically,
an
I see what
alien-
you mean.
an
They were kind of
alien
trying to
race.
fill that void, yeah.
Yeah, like an alien race that somehow is powerful enough to take on the Transformers.
Yeah.
For being just a statue with a rotating head.
Yeah, fair enough. They more or less took the place of the Quintessons from Beast Wars. But they were supposed to be a bit different. They were supposed to be like more of a malevolent species that kind of just watch things, kind of like the Watchers in Marvel.
Yeah.
Except there was a few Vox who kind of deviated from the path.
Yeah.
And were kind of messing with things, and that's initially where they were going to go with it and have them be a bigger part of season 3, but that kind of got kiboshed. So that being said, going back to season, any other highlights from season 2 you want to say? Yeah, because you mentioned Ravage. I really enjoyed the character of Ravage when they introduced him.
Yeah, Rampage.
Sorry, I meant to Rampage. What was the crab guy?
Rampage.
Rampage. That's what I meant. Not Ravage. Rampage.
Rampage. He was kind of a cool character, and I mean, he's a giant crab, and he pretty much couldn't be killed. So like he could take.
Well, we kind of see in season 3 that's not entirely accurate.
I said technically, didn't I? I may have roll that one back to see if I did. But so like when he was introduced, it's like, oh, this guy can't really be killed, but you can cut his spark in half and control him with it, and like it leads up to like the end with Ravage, where like the ship is like crashing down and he's running down. And it stops, and he's like, ah, ha, 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 ha. He does that laugh, and then all of a sudden it's like, dee, 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 dee. And he's like, that was a fun part. I like the whole.
Oh, what?
Kind of arc without Optimus at the beginning. They didn't have him.
Yeah,
and then
you know what? Yeah,
Rhinox
that
had
was
to go get him.
I liked it because you understood why Rhinox was second in command, because Rhinox took command when he had to. Like Rhinox didn't really seem like command was really his thing or something he wanted to do. Even though he was technically Optimus' second in command, it's not something he really
Officially, I think Rat Trap was actually second.
No, it was Rhinox.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was Rhinox. Rhinox is second in command. It wasn't Rat Trap. People make that mistake, but it's actually Rhinox.
Okay.
He was the second highest ranking member on that team. So
just so many times Optimus said Rat Trap here.
I know that's the writer's fault. Messing things up or just not paying attention to the own continuity they wrote.
Right.
But by the time they got back to season 2, they were really it had things a little bit more back in gear and then he took command at the beginning, like when everything was in chaos, like when Rat Trap and like Dinobot were fighting for like who should lead us after Optimus is gone.
Yeah.
Like he stepped in and was like, this is what you're doing, get this done. I'm gonna go do this, and it's like, okay, we're not gonna mess with you.
Yep, yeah. I mean, who would really?
Yeah. Because he was more like you presented as the big lovable lug kind of character.
Yeah.
/ science guy, but in that moment you understood, okay, let's not mess with the big guy because he's probably gonna snap us like a twig.
That's true.
That beginning part when they were just focusing on other characters other than Optimus was great. So you got a little bit more with Rhinox, you got a little bit more of Rat Trap, a little bit more of Cheetor. I felt like they really did a lot with Dinobot in season 1 anyways.
Yeah.
So they didn't really need to expand on Dinobot in that, but with the part Dinobot played within the first 3 episodes was pretty decent.
Yeah.
Because essentially, like, where Rhinox kind of like took command of the team, Dinobot was kind of like their field commander when they went into battle. Like he was the one
he's
in
definitely
charge.
more of a battle commander. Absolutely. I also liked the first episode where they were doing the transmetal stuff, and you saw the reason why Waspinator didn't get transmetal was because he fell in the CR chamber.
Yep.
The reason why
well, not everybody.
Pterosaur didn't get transmetal is because he died in the lava.
But you see when he's in the lava,
Yeah,
if he didn't die, he would have been transmetal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, just the way they did it, where it's like, like based on the toy line, that Waspinator has a transmetal form. But he didn't get it because he fell in the CR tank.
Well, initially because they weren't going to do a toy of him as a transmetal. Initially Hasbro wanted the writers and producers just to get rid of the character because they were going to flush him out of the wave.
Yeah.
Because they felt like they sold enough of his toy they can get rid of him. But they were like, no, we love writing this character and he's a big popular character for the audience. So we're going to keep him. And then after they decided to keep him, then that's when they finally made a transmetal toy of him. However, by the time they decided to do all that, they had the budget for the show set, so they couldn't do a new animation model for him being a Transmetal toy. So he was just standard Waspinator for the remainder of the show.
Well, fair, but he still fell in the CR tank, which would explain why he doesn't have a Transmetal, even though technically
that would have protected him from becoming a Transmetal.
Pterosaur again, falling in lava. You saw that he had one.
He would have if he survived, and as you saw with the toy, he did.
There was someone else too.
Scorponok died, but was Scorponok glowing though?
I don't think Scorponok. I don't think. No, maybe. Ooh, I don't know that one. I know he died, but I don't. No, I think there was someone else that was like in one of the Maximals. I feel like one of the Maximals was in a CR chamber, which explains.
Wasn't it Rhinox?
Did Rhinox have a Transmetal toy?
Yeah, a bunch of them eventually. Yeah, somebody was. Yeah, you're right. Somebody was in the CR chamber.
I can't remember who.
I think it wasn't. I think it might have been Rhinox. I might be wrong.
I feel like.
I think that's why they explained away why he didn't get one.
There was no other Maximals.
But Dinobot wasn't in a CR chamber, and he didn't turn into a Transmetal.
But he didn't actually have a Transmetal. He had a Transmetal 2.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying like the logic for why the people weren't affected by the radiation that turned him into a Transmetal. Like the CR chamber doesn't always work because Dinobot wasn't in a CR chamber, and he got hit by the radiation too, but it just didn't affect him like it did the others.
Well, yeah, because not everyone had the ability to get a Transmetal form.
/ we're not making a Transmetal toy of this figure, and we don't have it in the budget to do an alternate form right now, so we're ignoring this character. And then he's just going to have a classic form.
You all said, Quick Strike! Terrace!
Yeah.
In the season,
and also they introduced the concept of fusors, too.
Fusors, yes, that was it. Yeah, I forgot. That was
because Silverbolt was an eagle and a wolf.
Yep.
And Quick Strike was, do you remember the two forms?
Scorpion and a Cobra, I believe.
Yeah.
Nice. But I had that toy, funny enough. I hated the character, but the toy was pretty cool. What else did they do in this season? There's things we just definitely haven't talked about. I mean, there was we didn't really go into, I guess, detail about the Transmutate episode.
Oh, no, that was a good episode.
Where Silverbolt, right? Yes, I didn't mess that name up. Silverbolt and Rampage almost have like a
they have
brothership, like a mutual respect for each other because of this.
They definitely bonded in that episode briefly.
This Transformer that isn't like the other Transformers, like more or less both of them. You know, one can never die, and you know wants to die, but also is a basically Transformer murderer.
Basically, yeah.
Like serial killer, I should say. And you know the other is a amalgamation of multiple beasts, and it's not normal, and of course that's because this pod was crashed and damaged because of the wave and crashing down, and it just decided to grab two forms rather than one.
Well, the pod, yeah, because the pod was damaged, so that's it. It scanned two modes, not modes, but two
life forms.
Yeah, scanned two life forms, but what would they refer to, like their beast? Essentially, the life forms for the beast modes. Yeah. So instead of because their beast modes were more or less like a protective shell, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the pod scanners are technically supposed to scan one life form for the beast mode. There was a glitch; it scanned two at once, and the computer still didn't have enough. Wasn't working well enough to realize, just boot one out and take the other, and it just merged them together.
Yeah. And
they ended up getting a Fusor form. But if you also noticed, Fusors too had Transmetal parts on them.
Yeah.
So they are also
Transmutate had Transmetal parts.
Yeah. So they are also all affected by the Transmetal radiation as well.
Yeah, because I think anybody that we did see come out of a pod, even later on in the series, I feel like they had Transmetal capabilities.
Yeah, pretty much from that point on, yeah. Because they were trying to sell the toys, right?
And then you had Transmetal Transulus, and the fact that he was working with the Predacon Council.
Yeah.
And he is of Unicron descent.
Yeah, that was so basically they were following the continuity of the UK comics. So not following the continuity of like the original animated series or like the Japanese spin-off or even the North American comics. That specific lore came specifically from the UK comics, Transformers comics from the 80s.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people, it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, especially when we start talking about Primus and all that, because that really wasn't a part of like the original animated series or wasn't part of like the North American comics continuity. So all that stuff came from the UK Transformers comics from the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
So yeah, that was kind of confusing for some fans because they're like, what's this about being, descended from Unicron, and what's this stuff about Primus? Like, what's going on with all this? Like, the average North American fan wasn't.
What was Primus? I always understood Primus as like the
Transformer, like Autobot God or whatever it was,
okay.
yeah. But that wasn't part of the original like the North American continuity. That is specifically from the UK comic.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that one. Yeah, I didn't question that one, but I questioned the Unicron one because I was like.
So I guess they're trying to say is like the Decepticons that Unicron made continued to make Decepticons. I guess I don't know. That's the only way that line kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense.
So that's the only way he could really be like the spawn of Unicron, is like he's from the line Unicron made, who continued to make Transformers. But really, in that sense, he's not really, like, Unicron's not the one making them either. So it's like, I don't know. It was a dumb line to me.
Well, again, a descendant.
Yeah, true. Fine, I'll give you that. Descendant, yeah.
It's not like a son. It's a
yeah.
great grandchild. I really wish they would have got more into the Track Predacon Council. That was missed opportunity there.
Massively, yeah.
Well, I feel like we've kind of said pretty much everything there is about Season 2. If we've missed anything that you guys think of, let us know. If there's anything else you can
sure,
think
probably I'll mention something in the Season 3 review when I remember it. But as of right now, I would say it's definitely my favorite season.
Great season.
I would recommend going and watching Beast Wars if you never watched Beast Wars. Beast Wars is kind of what revitalized the Transformers franchise back in the 90s. A lot of classic fans hated it because it wasn't, automobiles and cars and trucks and all that jazz. It was animals, so it was a deviation from the normal, so they automatically hated it. But if it wasn't for Beast Wars, we wouldn't have had the revival of Transformers we had in the 90s, especially within the North American market. So for those who hate Beast Wars, be thankful of it, because you might not be having the Transformers renaissance you're having now because of it. So just be appreciative of what came before, okay?
Yes, absolutely, and stay tuned for Season 3 review coming soon.
Soonish.
Like, share, subscribe, comment, tell your friends.
All right, everyone. Have a good one.
Adios.